the next option is.
I'm trying not to do that.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Laws 1975. Said notice was advertising as of our press and Beacon and was posted on the bulletin board showing the time and place of the meeting. I'm going to ask Troop Pack. 156 to start the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Item 1, request to remove barricades on Erie Way.
All right, we had discussed this at the last meeting, and I'm not sure, I had asked you to go take a look at it before we made a decision. I'm not sure if, I know Mayor Kennis went to look at it, and I don't know if anybody else did, but I just need a follow-up with this now.
My suggestion would be to not remove the barricades at this time and put it on a possible as supervisor of public works to possibly maybe add it to the to-do item. Not to remove barricades, but maybe put to pave the short section of road.
And are we going to do
add it to
if
this list.
we're going to pave it, are we going to do the added assessments to the adjoining property owners like we have in the past? That's what we would have to do.
We'll discuss it later at this time.
But we're going to keep it back. All right, perfect. Perfect. Now, I do have an add-on for this agenda. 703 Western Boulevard, which is the Village Lutheran Church. They're looking to have an outdoor fall fair in their parking lot with some food vendors and some crafts for November 7th. I just need a motion to approve that.
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's all I have to add on to this agenda, so a motion to adjourn this agenda. Or anybody have anything else?
Nope.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're paused.
Yes, gentlemen,
So
we-
now it completes the caucus section. So now we're moving to the regular township.
Now, you guys can leave if you'd like to. Yeah, these are quick. We're quick. Yeah, we're quick.
Can we go with you?
Can we go in?
Thank you so much for
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
in action, please.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to the public laws of 1975. Said notice was advertising as of our press and the Beacon and was posted on the bulletin board showing the time and place of the meeting. Everyone please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First reading of ordinance 2020-24, amending chapter 335 for the age-restricted planned unit residential development zone.
In order to the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 335 of the Township Code of the Township of Lacey entitled Zoning so as to amend Section 335-57.1DAA3B entitled Age Restricted Planned Unit Residential Development Zone Bulk Requirements. This is in regards to authorizing heat, venting, air conditioning, generators, and other mechanical equipment which emits noise shall not be permitted within 2 feet of any property line. Currently, right now, we have some residential homes in that zone that are looking to put in generators, and unfortunately the way it's zoned, they would be requiring a variance. So now we're just including it and changing the bulk requirements so that they don't need to get a variance to do that. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yeah.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes, second reading of ordinance 2020-23, changing the filed map L2919 for a portion of block 1739.
In order to the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, vacating any and all right, title, and interest in a certain 75-foot drainage easement affecting portions of block 1739 in Lacey Township as set forth in filed map L2919 in accordance with NJSA 48:12-13B. This is a unneeded drainage easement that was on the filed map, and the incorrect filed map got filed. We're now just removing it from the map. This is second reading. We need to open the floor.
Any questions from the public?
Questions? Seeing none, close the floor to the public. Mayor?
Second, to close the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion on the ordinance.
Move it. Second.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Abstain.
Oh, sorry.
Resolution 2020-241, awarding a contract for the purchase of gasoline.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, awarding contracts for the furnishing and delivery of gasoline fuel to Petroleum Traders Corporation and Riggins. This is part of the Stafford Township Co-op where there's about 33 of us that are involved in it for a 2-year contract for gasoline from October 19th of 2020 through October 18th of 2022. Motion?
Move
Second. Mr. McDonald?
it. Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano? Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-242, awarding a contract for the purchase of bulk bituminous material.
Resolution of the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the award of a contract for the purchase of bulk bituminous material to Brick Wall Corporation. This is for up to 3,000 tons of the various different types of bituminous material that we need for road construction and fixing of roads, and it's on an as-needed basis. Motion?
Move it. Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-243, authorizing a change order for the Warden's Oyster Pond dredging project.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of an amendment to the contract with Albert Marine Construction for the Warden's Oyster Pond Maintenance Dredging Project. Obviously, as you know, you don't know how much muck is in the water until you get in there and start digging it out to the levels that the DEP allowed us to. There's an increase in the contract price of $52,310, and that was for an additional 570 cubic yards of material that was hauled out of the mouth of the Warden's Oyster Pond. And hopefully, once this is done, we won't have to at least do it for another 7 years. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-244, authorizing the employment of a full-time public safety telecommunicator.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the appointment of Danielle M. Traskey as a full-time public safety telecommunicator trainee for the Township of Lacey Police Department. This is a replacement dispatcher from one that had previously resigned. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-245, authorizing the employment of Class 2 special officers.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, appointing Dylan Emmett and Joseph Pandorf as Class 2 Special Law Enforcement Officers. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-246, appointing an Assistant Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, appointing Sergeant George Restatar, Assistant Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator for the Township of Lacey to fill the unexpired term of Michael Eden.
Motion.
Move it.
Second.
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 Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-247, authorizing a leave of absence for Kimberly Gudgeon.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, authorizing a leave of absence for Kimberly Gudgeon for medical reasons, and this is already passed. It's just putting it in formal writing here.
Move it. Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-248, authorizing a leave of absence for Scott Corcoran.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing leave of absence for Scott Corcoran under the Federal Medical Leave Act.
Move it. Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-249, authorizing the cancellation of taxes due to a disabled veteran exemption.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the tax collector to cancel 2020 taxes due on a property granted the 100% disabled veterans exemption and refund the resulting credit balance on block 1024.14, lot 10.
Motion.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-250, authorizing the refund of deposit monies.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the refund of deposits held for the use of municipal facilities. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Resolution 2020-251, authorizing the payment of township bills.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the payment of township bills in the amount of $5,586,041.56. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Second. Second.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes, and I'll abstain on D0400 vendor.
And Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Motion to approve township meeting minutes of October 8, 2020.
Move it.
Second. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve Caucus meeting minutes of October 8, 2020.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve raffle license application for the Women's Club of Lacey and the Lacey News Live.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have no add-on.
From the committee, Deputy Mayor Kuratello.
Yes, Mayor. I want to inform our business. Yesterday, there was an executive order that came down, so the corporate business tax has been extended from October 15th to November 16th. You go to nj.gov and see any of those items there. Also, good news for businesses, and it's on our website, laceytownship.org. New Jersey Economic Development Authority just launched an additional $70 million in funding for grants and small businesses impacted by COVID-19. It's the Phase 3 grant program. So it's $35 million is earmarked for businesses classified as food service and drinking, micro businesses, $15 million, and $20 million for other small businesses. So if you Google NJEDA, it's the first hit. It's also on our website, and please take a look. I know our businesses have been suffering terribly during this draconian lockdown. I want to talk a little bit about COVID-19. There's a County Health Department website. It says as of today, 16,274 cases. We're a county of roughly 600,000 people, and it balloons up in the summer months. But those cases, those 16,274 that you see today, are metrics that have been kept and people that have been counted going back to, I believe, February. So of those 16,000 cases, 12,528 are in 5 municipalities. We are not one of those 5. Lacey has 2.6% of the 16,274 recorded cases over the last many months, and people do recover from corona. So we have to keep these numbers in perspective with other illnesses and other flu seasons. And people talk about a second wave. Yes, we have a second wave. It's also known as flu season. This happens each and every year. I would like to talk about for a moment the, if you go to laceytownship.org, for the benefit of our young people, our families this year, so as to protect and insulate from COVID, we're having an Undeadly Trail exposition at Gilly Park. It's a drive-through event. So we have actors. I'm actually one of the actors. I know some of my colleagues are in there. I'm actually going as the coronavirus, so because I am so lovable, I suppose. So I got elected to be Corona, so I have a mace and the red face mask and everything else. So that would be towards the end of the 5th act. And so if you have smaller kids that may get scared, you can turn off at the 4th act, which I think are the neurotic parents spraying what is supposed to be hand sanitizer, but ends up really just being water to sanitize everybody. So it should be a good time to be had by all. There's still some tickets available. It's this coming Saturday and Sunday, laceytownship.org. Take the kids out, take a family out. It's very inexpensive. That is about, I was going to comment on what I saw Senate Democrats do today on the floor of the Senate and how they walked out. When you see the 5 of us up here, sometimes we'll disagree. We don't walk out. We try to come to a gentlemanly arrangement, conclusion, compromise, but you had an entire half of the Senate walk out today, representing, I'm not sure exactly how many millions of people, because there's senators on the Judicial Committee, which is a very important committee, from all around these United States. I thought it was a bad example for some of these young people sitting here tonight, our Cub Scouts and young people all around the country. If you sign up for something, you should be there to vote, I would think. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Committeeman Giuliano.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, I really don't have a lot to say, but just a reminder that we all know that next Saturday is Halloween, so be safe out there and watch all the kids. I know the fog is going to play a big act with everything, with the weather going up and down, hot to cold. The fog is, I couldn't even see out my back door this morning. It was that bad. What else is going on? Oh, also a reminder, please, get your ballots in. It's your right to vote, so please make sure you pass the word on. If somebody doesn't know, there's plenty of ways you can find out or explain to them, where they go and how you have to do it. As always, I'd like to thank the Lacey Township Police Department for keeping us safe, also the fire and first aid for keeping us safe, and to our DPW for always making our town look so fabulous like it does. That's all I have, Mayor, tonight.
Thank you, Nick. Committeeman Dykoff.
Thank you very much. So as Committeeman Giuliano mentioned, Halloween is coming. So there are a lot of guidelines, and we've got it on our township page. Many people are still nervous about COVID-19 and nervous about participating in Halloween. So some of the guidelines are, if there's not a porch light on, that means that family does not wish to participate. Some people are putting signs out there. Please be respectful. Let's enjoy it as much as we can, and we'll get through this. And of course, as was said, please be careful driving around. Kids will be in costumes. I think the Undeadly Trail that Lacey is running is going to be a fantastic event. Election, yes, it's very important to get your ballots out there. I was talking to Ocean County Clerk, and the response is not what it should be, considering it's a mail-in ballot. So make sure you get it there. I think people are just waiting till the last minute. Maybe they're not watching TV. It's really not pretty to watch. But that's it. Have a safe Halloween, and we'll see you after the election and see what happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Committeeman McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Also on Saturday, besides the Undeadly Trail down at the Forked River Firehouse, is a food trucks and fire pits. I'm not sure how much it is per person, but we have a bunch of food trucks and some fire pits going on around 5 o'clock, goes 5 to 8 or whatever it is, so you may want to stop down there. Voting, you got to do it. You got to do this. This is, but I do want to say something. People are saying, like, the end of the world's going to come if A doesn't win or B wins or whatever. We will survive the results of this election, regardless of who wins this election. So let's not take this to a run around with our hair on fire. So just do our civil duties and vote, and we're going to be just fine. I do want to talk about the 150th. That is still going forward. And if you have any questions, you can give the township administrator a call, and she'll be happy to put you on to the right people if you want to get involved in that. Halloween, again, just be careful. Just be very, very careful out there. I do want to talk about something that was in the news besides politics that we are part of, is the opioid settlement. It was $8 billion. And I guess about 5 or 6 years ago, we joined a class action lawsuit, and hopefully that's the one that came in, so we should be getting some money from that. We'll be sending a letter down or an email down to our attorneys down in Washington, D.C., and see exactly where we stand with that. So, Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Veronica went away last week, so it was a slow news week. So, it was a very light news week last week for myself, anyway. I'm still in the conference calls with the governor's office. I was on this past Tuesday. They're now down to one a month, and you can tell that the coronavirus fatigue is certainly setting for everybody. And now I think the mayor's is setting. It was a very lightly attended conference call this time. Usually I'm on with like 40 other people, and there's maybe 10 of us. I'm still holding developer meetings. I held a couple last week, so there's still a lot of interest in builders and developers coming to Lacey Township, and Finally, Veronica just mentioned before, with the dredging of Warden's Oyster Pond, our dredging was now complete for the township-owned inlets until 2024 or thereabouts. So we've completed all the dredging on all our inlets, our responsibilities. With that, I'll open it up to the public. Name and address.
Joe Bransford, 113 Amber Mist Way, Forked River. Just wanted to look you all in the eye. I'm the president of the Seabreeze at Lacey Homeowners Association. Wanted to thank you for the first reading tonight of an ordinance that's going to benefit 520 homeowners and soon to be 568 homeowners. We really appreciate it. They're all going to know about it, and we thank you for what you did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do something right first.
Next, anyone? Paul?
Peter was just talking about,
Name and address.
Paul Dressler, 70 Arbor Ridge Drive, Forked River, New Jersey. As Peter was just talking about the senators that left, I've got some concerns that are going on with Oyster Creek and stuff that's going on outside in various things around the United States. And maybe some good things. Steve, with you being on the advisory panel, one of the things we talked about at one of the last town meetings was doing an ordinance. We've done some research, and would offer you something that's happened. It's been around since 1979. Seems to be one of the best ones for doing an ordinance.
We're going to hand that right over to the attorneys.
In relation to that, you're probably going to give them other stuff. But to Peter's point, the fact that a number of senators walked out today, it's something we're going to need some help. There's a law that passed in New York State in relation to that they're going to be allowed to tax. It's just waiting for Cuomo to sign. We need to do something in New Jersey. You're going to have to be involved with the people at this thing. But Mr. Booker and Mr. Menendez and the governor are going to have to do something about it. Here's a copy of the bill that's waiting in New York State just to be signed, and they're going to be allowed to tax nuclear waste. And then the last one is a bill that's being proposed by Bernie Sanders and another up in Vermont. But there would be good things as far as this go, because with this new bill, if it happened, I don't want to go into all the pages as far as stuff, but again, we'd be able to tax nuclear waste at $15 a kilogram. We'd get $500,000 in the town to have a local advisory board. We'd get $35 million in economic development here as far as stuff like that. So I know they're probably not aware of it down there, but it's something that I would tell anybody that's going to listen to a video thing, write a letter, get these people off their behinds and get this thing enacted as far as stuff. And it's something that McCabe at the DEP's got to do something
So
about.
prior to the next time we have our next advisory council meeting, I'm probably going to sit down with you and probably Ron as well, just to go over some bullet points. Oh, did he? I saw him apply.
But there's other things, I mean, PSE&G last year got the $300 million subsidy. They're looking for another $300 million this year, and then probably another $300 million after that. I mean, he's passing stuff like this. If you get 3 years of that, that's $900 million. They could build another plant rather than do what they're doing.
Right.
This is something that would help everybody, and it's something we're going to need to do.
Yeah.
You know, we commend what you guys have done, what we're trying to help you do, but they've been non-existent for 3.5, 4 years as far as stuff. They're going to have to do something to help us. And I would just mention, anybody that's going to listen to this video, whether you're a town person, media, you got to help us as far as stuff. Write a letter, you got to do something.
I agree. We appreciate all the work you've done. You've done a lot of research. You know more about it than most.
Yes.
But again, anything we can do to help, we're here.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Name and address?
Yes, my name is Arlene Berkowitz. I live at 1618 Beach Boulevard, and before that it's 1710 Beach Boulevard. My husband and I have been down here over 36 years. We're here from the time of the wooden bridges, and it was like a little fishing community. Okay. When we first bought down here, there was a man in charge of everything named Gilly. And he showed me before I bought my house, because there was so much property behind 1710. There was room for a roadway, there was room for houses, and then there was room for a backyard before you reach the bay. And I was nervous that somebody would build there. And he said, don't worry about it, the water's moving in, it's never gonna happen. Well, now it has
Famous
happened.
last words.
Right. When we lived at 1710, one house built a wall. They got permission to build out from their property. One house built a wall, the wall fell down. Other people put up bags of shells. You could see them floating down the bay. Somebody else had metal spikes. It's this huge thing to try and stop erosion. In our own little way, we were interested in that too. So in our present house, we live next to somebody who's a wonderful horticulturist, and the flowers change with the seasons, and the birds come out with little bird houses, and it's just beautiful. So we called the township and said, can we plant on this? It's actually the township's property. The houses end, there's township property, and then there's that nice walkway. And they said, you can put anything in that you want, like plant-wise, within 3 feet of the walkway. Everything will be mowed 3 feet either side of the walkway. I assume you all know where the walkway is. It's a beautiful, especially early in the morning. So we started putting in plants, and over the 4 years we've been in this house, we've put in at least 15 rose bushes, whatever else Home Depot has, to just make it look nice. I have some pictures of that. I used to teach art. I can't help it. I always need to have pictures. You get the pictures first. And somebody, I don't know who, it didn't occur to me to write down names, said, yes, within 3 feet. So I went out with my measuring stick, the yardstick, put out yellow flags from the neighbor at 1620, 1618, which is us, and 1616, which is the neighbor on our other side. And the whole idea was, I love to go hiking in national parks. It should look like a mini national park. There are other places that have done this. For instance, where we went hiking this weekend, let me get my picture. One second. This is the Hudson Valley. This is up near Mohawk. They've been there since 1899. They do not cut. They do not do anything else. They clear out their walkways so you can get by. And there's an emergency road going up the mountain in case they have an emergency. But it remains there. So we have planted all these lovely things. And this township did very nice planting too. Here's the township's planting. I know you're really excited about these pictures. It gives you an idea. That's the township. So, and there's a young man used to go with machinery, and he would just cut 3 feet on each side, and that was it. We come back 2 weeks ago, and apparently some massive piece of equipment has gone down this and knocked down every single bush that we've had. every single one. These bushes were put in also to hold the soil. There's a tremendous roots in older plants. And these are 4 years old, and they were just ripped out, of course, by big machinery. And this is what it looks like now. In case you haven't looked at it. Okay. One that has the arrows up. The native land is from 36 years ago was mud, grass, rocks, some rocks. If you want to go into the water, you had to put on flip-flops or something. But this is not a sandy beach like Lavalette, Malibu. It's just it's a Jersey Shore. It's different. The geography is different. So, I wanted to find out who's responsible for this. Who changes the laws midway? We put hundreds of dollars into this, and I don't mind the money. But there were people who walk along and stop to look at the flowers. Their dogs would pee. I mean, you know, everything that goes on that roadway. I wanted to find out who's responsible for this. And then there became a problem. It's very nice down here. We have just loved it. When we lost one house for Sandy, we waited and we found another house. Because it's just to hear the birds, to watch them getting ready to fly south. It's an amazing experience. All of a sudden, this is all chopped down. There are people going beyond their property lines and sticking in piles of sand. This is not native to where we are. I mean, 36 years ago, this was, wooden bridges. That's what it was, you know, grass, mud. So people who have come after Sandy don't realize what that storm can do. I didn't bring a picture, but we had one of the houses by that man who built all the small houses down there. And we had a boat inside our house. We had a dock inside our house. We don't have a boat, we don't have a dock. That's the kind of destruction that takes place. And twice before, the water had come into these, you know, small bungalows. So we are really against erosion, seriously. I found a foreign laborer today. He put in some more rose bushes, but they're very close to the house. And I want to know, what is the rule about that? Where do you stand? We can't keep putting in money. And look at the way it looks when you just, with a thought, cover everything down. And I don't think that two households can speak for all the houses along there. I mean, if there's some need a referendum, I don't know what to do. I see you do a lot of very important things, but I don't know under whose auspices this comes.
So this is probably something that we have to look into a little bit more, because you have, some people feel it's a property maintenance issue. Other people like yourself think it's not the natural beauty of having, these plants there. So we're trying to balance, the concerns of everybody. So I think we have to do a little bit more research on it to see what we can do, should do.
Well,
right now, we're limited into how much we can maintain it. We're only allowed to mow it certain times a year. And so, I understand that people are encroaching on the property, but I think it's something that we have to maybe look at a little bit more.
We've never, in 4 years, we never had any problem. They would come through, they'd mow, right along that pathway, which is certainly understandable. We never got ticks here. My husband became an avid gardener, which is amazing. And I don't know what maintenance is.
Well, this is right. It's in the eye of the beholder, I guess. A lot of people like trees. Other people don't want the hassle of having leaves in their yard, so they want them taken down. So this is it's one of those types of issues. You have to sort of thread the needle and maybe take a look at it again, just to see if there's.
Okay.
You try and make it everybody happy.
I would appreciate it if you would take another look at that and decide, this isn't, with no trees, it's rose bushes.
No, I understand, but it is, it is township property that's supposed to be maintained in a certain way, but we'll take a look at it again.
Good, I hope so. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Barrett?
Pictures here.
Barry Bender, Historic Bay Avenue. Because of my work schedule, I haven't been able to make very many meetings, but I caught, thanks to my friends at WLTS TV 21, I figured I'd put that plug in there. I was able to catch the last two meetings, and I know that there was a lot of discussion about the situation, the growth, et cetera, at the Bayfront Park. And I watched both of the last two meetings, 9/24 and 10/8. And there were a lot of things mentioned there that I'd like to clarify because not all of them were accurate. First one that I had was someone at the mic here specified that the park had not been mowed all year. That's not a fact because prior to June 1st, there were mowings done on the park, and it was the standard as they had done previously along the walkway, I guess 2 or 3 feet on each side that they were doing. So the grass had been cut prior to then. There was a comment made that one of the residents tells them not to cut behind her house. This particular resident had worked with the landscaper as the park was being developed, and he looked at the plantings that she had behind her house and mentioned to her that these very same plants were going to be used, purchased by the town to retain the soil, etc. She may have, maybe once or twice, if somebody new came along to mow, because they did mark with yellow flags the areas where it was not grass, it was plants like beach plum, beach rose, yucca, etc., which retain the soil. Because if anyone was there when Sandy came through, even prior to Sandy, the amount of beach, etc., that was there that has been lost has been enormous and continues to be enormous. So that was not accurate. It was mentioned that the weeds are 6 feet high. Weeds don't grow 6 feet high. It might have been goldenrod. I didn't see the pictures because I saw the pictures were put forward, but they don't. The only tall things there would have been those particular plantings: the beach plum, the beach rose, and the yucca. Yuccas grow, but again, those are plantings that were put there, and some of them in the last house on the stretch had been there for upwards of 12, 13 years. Okay, so they weren't new to the vicinity. One of the things also mentioned at the microphone was the mosquito problems due to the high grass. And I've been in touch with the Ocean County Mosquito Extermination Commission. I have a letter from there here that I'll give to you, Mayor. But one of the things he mentions in here, actually kind of like the Reader's Digest condensed version of what his letter says, he states, and this is Michael Sennett, the superintendent of Ocean County Mosquito Extermination Commission. He states, to answer your inquiry about mowing marsh vegetation within the Forked River Beach Bayfront Park, potentially control resting mosquitoes, it is my opinion that this is not a worthwhile effort. My reasoning is because there are other nearby vegetated areas for salt marsh mosquitoes to rest that are well within their flight range. I also need to mention that there are important ecological benefits to marsh grasses, which include promoting favorable species diversity and preventing salt marsh erosion that outweigh its disturbance or destruction. So I can give you that. Mosquito problem. From the day as someone mentioned the problem with being dictated to by the state, meaning the DEP. With any park within our town, that really isn't a problem. But when you build a park next to Barnegat Bay, anything that you do that affects the bay affects every town along Barnegat Bay. Okay, meaning the ones on our side of the bay and the ones over on the Seaside Heights, Seaside Park, etc. side. So that is why the DEP needs to be involved in projects that happen along the bay. So being dictated to by the DEP is so that every town along the bay is protected, just to make that clear. Also, there was a mention made that right after the ribbon was cut, the DEP came across with new requirements. The requirements for the mowing was part of the agreement for approval for the park, because there was an objection to the gabion. So the compromise was that you can put the gabion in, but you can only mow before June 1st. You can't mow from June 1st to October 1st. So that's why that was put in place, because the turtles do come in and they do nest. I mean, I have a video out on YouTube showing earlier, years earlier, one of the turtles nesting there. They lay, and the problem is, someone had mentioned they hadn't seen the turtles there. The turtles come up, they lay their eggs, they go back to the water, and you don't see them again. The next time you see turtles is when those eggs hatch and the hatchlings make their way back to the water. So unless you're there, or you live there and are there all the time, your odds of seeing the turtles is relatively slim. So I just wanted to point that out also. There was a reference made to Dr. Winnick, who actually has been involved at the beach, and many of you know, since 2014. He actually commented on the project itself, and he has mentioned clearly, yes, sand is good for the turtles, but he also mentioned it's anchored sand with proper coastal plantings, because if you just put the sand in, the sand will end up where a lot of people are complaining now, in the lagoons, which has happened in the past, and that's why those lagoons are as clogged up as they are. So that is the reference to Dr. Winnick. Also, Dr. Winnick made clear to us recently, well, not that recently, but relatively recently, the terrapin turtles were declared a non-game species because their numbers were decreasing quite rapidly, and the main reason for that decrease in population is a loss of habitat. And the Bayfront Park there was a regular habitat for them. I have a film, I forget how many, it was the early 2000s of a terrapin turtle nesting there. And this was all from the September 24th meeting. On the October 8th meeting, someone from the dais mentioned that there never should have been any exceptions. Now, here's my issue with that. There were some of the people, like Mrs. Berkowitz, had called and asked if it was okay to put in her rose bushes. Okay, so it was not like there was not conversation about this. Okay, the other person on the beach there had worked with the landscaper who was working on the project itself for the park, and he said, these are wonderful plantings, these should remain here. I don't know whether he talked to the whatever, but there was an understanding that those were okay. That's why they put the yellow flags up around them. And if that agreement was changed, it would have been wonderful to let Mrs. Berkowitz or the other people on the beach know that the agreement was no longer being honored, to give them an opportunity to get their plants out of there. But what happened is the plants were cut down. Just the machines went through and just cut them down. Someone at the mic had mentioned that the grass, that Dr. Winnick said the grass is not beneficial. And yeah, that's true, the sand would be more beneficial, but again, you cannot put the sand there without plantings on it, because you'll find that sand, you'll have people in here from the lagoons again saying, there's no way I can get my boat in and out. So you can't just dump sand on the beach, because that happened years before. I'm not new to this. We've been working on this for a long time. I came here right after Sandy and gave a presentation on what was going on at then, you know, that end of the Bayfront Park. So yeah, you can't just dump sand. As Dr. Winnick says, it has to be anchored sand with proper coastal plantings. There was also a mention about if they were going to make any changes, there would have to be a brand new application. And I was under the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the original agreement amended? Because originally in the original agreement, there was supposed to be no mowing anywhere, okay, from June 1st to October 1st, and it was amended to let people mow up near the playground and on the,
If that's the case, I believe it was amended before it was issued. Like that was
I believe that was after the fact.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was after the park was opened.
I was mayor at the time when we got those approvals, but I don't
Yeah.
recall. But.
Okay. And again, there was a mention made on the 8th about the mosquitoes. You have that letter from the Ocean County Mosquito Control Authority. If you read the whole thing, the problem with the mosquitoes is standing water. And if there's standing water, that's where they nest, and the young go there. But again, along the same lines, he's saying if you cut the grass, they'll go somewhere else, but they'll be back because they have a wide range where they fly. I mentioned about seeing the turtles. The turtles are, they have a life cycle. They come out of the water, they nest, they lay their eggs, they go back into the water. The eggs hatch on their own, and then the hatchlings come in. And there were, actually, from the people at Bayside Beach Club, they said they saw many, many turtles this year. And finally, at the end of the conversation, there was a mention of the lawsuit from Save Barnegat Bay, and that the cutting of the grass came from that lawsuit, and that is not a fact. To get the permit for the park, the cutting restrictions were part of that, so it was long, long before any lawsuit from Save Barnegat Bay, and as far as that goes, there was already a modification to that agreement so that the north end and the very south end of the park could be cut. So I just wanted to clarify that.
All fair criticisms and some valid points, but it works both ways. When we're issued a permit, we try, especially from something like the DEP, we try and do our best to comply with their wishes and what they ask us to do. So, much like, again, I'm not trying to be anti-environmentalist or anything like that, but if the grass is overgrown, we have some responsibility to mow it as township property. Notwithstanding that there were plantings done by individuals to try and make it look better. You'd be arguing the same point if we let the turtle nesting areas say get overgrown. You'd be the first one back up here saying that we're not complying with that portion of the agreement, and that we better maintain those as well. So we'll do our best to look at the what's going on out there again, and maybe we can try and satisfy all parties.
Right, but a lot of these plantings, okay, are put there to retain.
I understand, but we have.
This is a different park than a park anywhere else in the town because you have Barnegat Bay.
I completely understand, but we do have it's township property, and it's our responsibility to maintain it. We can debate on how it should be maintained, but it is the township's responsibility to maintain that property. You may not like how it's being maintained. You may not like how it's maintained, but we'll try and figure out maybe some way to make all parties somewhat agreeable.
Right, but again, these people should have been given a warning if their plants were going to be cut, because
again,
there had been.
Well, with all due respect, they're putting plants on township property
With permission.
not from the township.
Yeah, it was with permission. She called the township.
Well, I said we're the one that would issue that authorization.
So whomever she spoke to was wrong. So whomever she spoke to was wrong to give her the idea that she had permission.
You have to get permission to do anything on township property from the governing body. As far as I know, that's how it works. So I'm not saying that a verbal agreement, was conducted with the landscaper or the guys at DPW.
No. Well, she called the township.
But the facts are that it's township property. There's plantings on township property. I don't think that's allowed by our DEP.
Right, no, absolutely.
So
no,
that's all I'm saying.
I don't disagree with that.
You can't do it, or wouldn't be agreeable to it, or figure out some way to do it. I'm just saying, I don't think, not that I'm aware, that part of that, and I was on, like I said, I was part of the approval process for that park.
Right.
I was mayor at the time, and I don't recall, allowing plantings from anybody else, and I've been here since that time. I'm not, again,
Okay.
it could be a verbal agreement with the DPW guys or somebody, but that has to come from the township body.
Yeah. Well, like I said, some of those plantings had been there upwards of 12, 13 years. So.
I understand.
Yeah. All right.
Like I said,
Just
we'll
wanted-
try- We'll take a look at.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Honestly, we'll
clarify
take a look at it again.
a lot of the points on here.
Yeah, I believe me, I understand the concern. 5 plantings there, I was looking at the woods and all of a sudden the town cleared it. You know, I might be upset as well, even if it is township property, because it's kind of your backyard. I do understand, so we'll try and, you know, do the best we can. But like I said, when it's, you know, when an agreement is issued by something like, you know, authority like the DEP, we have to do our best to comply as best we can.
Absolutely, yeah. And that agreement was between the DEP and Lacey Township.
Correct.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Ladies first.
Hello,
Name
everyone.
and address.
My name is Darlene Trout, 1604 Beach Boulevard. When you come down the park pathway, our house has the sand with the grasses that I believe Arlene just showed you because she was at my house taking pictures today. You'll see a huge 6-foot statue of turtle carvings. How the sand behind our home came to be is around June, the town came and they mowed, we were glad. And then there was no rain, so it became very brown. We hired Patrick Hoyt because I didn't want any grass on my property. It was like $13,000 for him to put the railroad ties in and the rock and such, and all the grass behind us had become brown. So I said to my husband, before it blows over onto where they just put the rock, can you rake it up? He raked it up, and what's left there is we didn't put anything down, it was just sand. So what happened is, their friend, the neighbor, the horticulturist, Ms. Doyle, came down, and she brought Dr. Winnett, who said, this is great, this looks like a place where turtles will come. And just so you can see, this was just in June at my house.
I see.
There's been, I've seen 4 turtles come and they look like they're laying eggs. I'm not a crow, but my husband and I are oncology nurses. And I've lived here for 30 years, contrary to what most people think. My children were raised down here as well. So when Dr. Winnett came, I said to him, cool, so I'll keep an eye out and we'll let them do their thing. He mentioned that when the hatchlings come out, they usually have something like that to shelter. So I went to Hammett's and I spent almost $400 asking them what are native grasses that they would hang out under, because I happen to love roses, it's my favorite flower. Although you won't find roses, you won't find plants, you won't find daffodils, dandelions, you will find native grasses that absolutely mimic what's around the park. That's what I spent money on, not for my favorite flower. And you all can come and mow it, take it up, plant grass, do what you want. It was about the fact that 4 turtles this past summer came there that I saw. So I was like, cool, I didn't put anything there, it was just rip up, the grass came up after my husband raked it, it's just the sand that was there. I planted grasses because Dr. Winnett said at school when they come out they need something to hang under before they go do their thing. So that's how that came to be. As far as the other, yes, we have called and asked for the mowing because down at that end, although there may be some beautiful flowers, it's extremely high, and I myself, hand to God, saw a possum bigger than my dog. And Ms. Doyle said to me, it comes and hangs out on my back porch. Well, to me, and we've also walked by and seen mice running back and forth. You can ask anyone, mice, baby mice, dead mice. To me, those are predators to the terrapin. So, why? Do you know what I'm saying?
Understand.
So, whatever the law is, the rules are.
We will do our best to try and figure out a middle ground.
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Name and address.
Hi, Walter Kramer, 1606 Beach Boulevard. I want to thank you for getting somebody to come up and mow the beachfront area. They do have to come back because there's some areas that they've missed, and there's a lot of weeds, especially on the east side of the walkway, that need to be weed whacked. And there's a stretch of property from 1616 to 1620, about 4 feet from the property lines that has to be mowed, that hasn't been mowed. It's still kind of a mess up there. I want to disagree with what was said before about mosquitoes. We have a terrible mosquito problem up there, terrible mosquito problem. And having the grass unusually high maybe this year may have been one of the problems. I don't know, but we were infested with mosquitoes all summer. The person who was up here talking before, he doesn't live on the water. He just gets his information from 1620. What else? But I think everyone that lives up on Beach Boulevard should get an even shake. If I can't cut my grass, there should be no special, permits for people to have special flowers or native this, native that, or rose bushes or this or that. I'm not afforded those privileges if I can't cut the grass behind my house because I have mosquitoes. Or it looks bad. People come to my house, we entertain every once in a while. Why is it so unkept and I've explained to them we have, a DEP issue that we can't cut the grass from June till October 15th. And I think it's reasonable that everybody be treated equally, or fair-handedly, if that's possible. Because believe me, I've seen turtles. I've lived in our house 5 years now, and I have seen turtles. They do come up and they do lay eggs and nest. And I just want to resolve this
We'll do our best.
as best we can. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Regina? Oh, sorry, no. No, sorry. Name and address.
Tony Kraus, 1604 Beach Boulevard. I know that last time I was here, you informed me that a special fence was being made so that the northern walkway could be locked at night. For the last 2 weeks, the southern walkway has not been locked once. Actually, last night he locked it because I stopped up when he was locking up the park for the driveway gate and said, are you going to be locking the gate tonight? And he said, well, we're not really responsible. I said, well, wait a minute. I was at a town meeting 2 weeks ago. They told me you guys are going to lock it tonight. So he goes, okay, I'll go take a look at it. So it was locked last night. But
I will double check.
yeah, just the police are not aware that they need to lock it at night. And also someone has taken the liberty of locking the lock during the day so that, only the police could unlock it to lock the fence properly at night. So
Okay.
that's all.
All right.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Regina? You don't know how to work that by now, Regina?
Really? She broke it now. Oh, good job. Good job.
I'll send you the bill.
Dropping the mic
Just
down.
hold it.
Doesn't this go down? Oh, there you go. Okay, that's good, thank you. Regina DeSenza, Sunset Drive, Sunrise Beach, speaking as a private citizen. I have a different topic. With Election Day approaching, I'd like to say how disappointed I am by all the games people seem to have to play with candidate signs. Lawn signs are not free. They are the personal property of the candidates, and they cost money, a lot of money. I realize now sometimes a few may disappear due to landscaping, but I have seen signs intentionally pulled off the stands that were secured, and a few signs that were even greased with oil spray. People were still pulling at them. Some people use their own personal funds to buy their own signs. They don't have a bottomless pit of cash like some other candidates that plaster the town with signs. Which brings me to a website that I went to look at today, the New Jersey Election Law Enforcement Commission website. I know everyone's noticed, and a lot of people have asked me, who is Kim Claus? I said, well, Kim Claus is the wife of former board member Robert Claus.
Regina, you're a school board member, and you're going to come up here as a private citizen and talk about school board candidates. This is township committee.
I'm getting to
This is
something
the
else.
township committee. Why would you talk about a school board
I'm talking
candidate?
about signs.
You're talking about, but you're bringing up a school board candidate. So obviously you're making
You want me to
disparaging, you
stop?
started to make a disparaging comment about,
No, I'm
people
just talking
who
about
spend money, and you're gonna start to, I already know where you're going. You're gonna start talking about the fact that Kim Claus got donations from certain people.
No.
That's where you're going.
No,
You
you're
know, I
wrong.
mean,
All I'm gonna say is this, Mark.
Okay.
All right? I wish you didn't stop me. All I'm saying is that she spent about $5,000 on signs and only reported 1,000.
well,
So
you're-
that's all
again,
I'm
you're
gonna
making
say.
accusations that she, maybe,
'Cause I know how much they
maybe
cost.
she spent her own money.
I understand
Maybe
that.
she spent her own money.
But you have to report it.
Well, so give it a chance. Maybe she hasn't reported it yet. You don't know.
It still can, but when
Well,
you
you know
have...
what, but again, it's a school board
Mark,
candidate,
don't
this is
argue
a
with
township
me.
committee. I'm going to.
Those signs
going
are
to
up
argue with
prior
you.
to October 5th.
I'm going to argue with you because, again,
You know how much
it's
they
improper.
cost.
It's improper for you to bring up a school board candidate at a township committee meeting.
It's
Yes,
about
you
the
are, and you're
signage.
doing it and you're coming up as a private citizen, but in fact, you're doing it because you're a school board member.
No.
Trying to get your agenda pushed through with your candidates.
Mark, you're
That's what
wrong.
you're doing. No, I'm not wrong.
Yes, you are.
Listen, Regina,
All I'm
I've seen
talking
you
about is
for
money.
20 years, and your agenda here,
It's only about money.
it's about the school
Tonight
board
it's just about
candidate.
money.
No, it's about a school board candidate.
No, it's not.
Regina,
'Cause I
you know
was
what,
gonna
why don't you do
continue.
this?
I was
Rather
gonna
than come up and
continue.
do it, why don't you go and do your job as a school board member? What have you done since you've been on the school board?
Oh, you really want a list?
I really want a list. Not here, why don't you make a list and
Some
and
of
send
it's
it to me?
confidential, I can't tell you.
I know.
All right?
Like being on the negotiating committee for a contract and then voting against the contract.
I was
That was a
allowed
real
to.
good move. That was a real good move.
I was allowed to.
When
I
you were
would
allowed
be
to
in
or
jail
not,
today
but
if I
you-
did the wrong thing.
But do you think it was proper to be on the negotiating committee, negotiating a contract,
Yeah.
and then voting against the negotiations that you came across? I mean, come on.
Part of that's
Listen,
confidential,
Regina,
Mark.
go, stop it. You're coming up here on the guise of a private citizen, talking
I
about a
was
school
talking
board
about
election.
money and
You're
respect
talking
for
about a school
signs.
board. I'm done arguing with you.
Mark,
I've seen you for 20 years.
Your signs go untouched
My signs go untouched.
when they were up. Mhm. Your
You're
signs
wrong.
are never touched.
Okay, if you say so.
I'm talking about respect for private property and that these signs are expensive and they belong to people. And they should
No,
not be marked.
and that's great, you're absolutely right.
They should not be
But bringing up
altered and they
people's
should.
names and then weaseling in a little bit about.
I'm trying to say how much they cost,
Yeah, but no,
Mark.
what you're trying to say is
They're
how much,
expensive.
what you said was how much she got donated, but how much she spent.
Yeah, that's
what-
unusual.
And that's about touching signs, so how does that
But they're
connect?
protected and they're expensive.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying is
Yeah,
they should not
okay,
be touched.
all you're saying.
Thank you for your
Good
comment.
night.
Anything else from the public?
Seeing none, make a motion to close the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to go into executive session?
Resolution to go into executive session.
Move it.
Can I read it first?
No.
It's Resolution 252, resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing convening of executive session to discuss matters of personnel, contractual matters, and anticipated pending litigation in matters of real estate. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
We will not be coming out and making any further decisions this evening.
We say that all the time. We say